You would think that staying out of trouble is enough to survive probation. You would think that as long as you do not commit a new crime, as long as you do not get arrested, as long as you show up to your court dates, everything will be fine. That is what most people believe. That is what almost everyone on probation believes on their very first day. But the system is designed with hidden traps, small, everyday habits that feel completely innocent, habits that normal, law-abiding citizens do every single day without thinking, can actually send you back to jail without you ever committing a new crime. Probation officers are not your friends. The judge is not watching out for you. The conditions you signed, the ones you probably skimmed because the paperwork was 50 pages long, often contain language that turns completely normal behavior into a violation.
And once you violate, even for something small, the judge has discretion to send you back for the full length of your original sentence. That means you could have served 2 years of a 3-year probation term, be just 12 months away from freedom, and then one innocent mistake resets everything. You go back to jail for the original time. Those 2 years you already served do not count anymore. That is the reality of probation violations in America today.
Let me walk you through 5 of the most common innocent habits that get people revoked, violated, and locked up again. These are not crimes. These are not things that would get someone arrested off probation. But on probation, they are treated as seriously as a felony. I am going to explain each habit in detail, tell you exactly how it goes wrong, give you real examples from court cases across the country, and then tell you exactly what you need to do to protect yourself. If you are on probation right now, or if you have a loved one on probation, or if you are facing a sentence that might include probation, you need to hear every word of this. Because the system will not explain these traps to you. Your probation officer will not warn you. The judge assumes you read every page of your conditions and understood them perfectly. But nobody reads probation conditions like a lawyer.
Nobody expects that going to work, posting a photo, or helping a friend could land you in handcuffs. That is exactly why these 5 habits are so dangerous. They feel innocent because they are innocent. But the law does not care about feelings.
The first innocent habit is changing your daily schedule without notifying a probation officer in writing. This sounds absolutely ridiculous because you are an adult. You are not a child asking for permission to stay out late. You have responsibilities. You might get a new job that starts at 6 in the morning instead of 9. That changes when you leave home, when you return, and when you are available for random check-ins. You might start night classes at a community college to improve your skills and find better work. That changes your availability during evening hours when probation officers often do home visits. You might simply decide to visit your mother every Tuesday instead of Thursday because her health is failing and she needs help on different days. None of this is criminal. None of this should be a problem. But many probation conditions require you to provide a written weekly schedule of your movements, appointments, work hours, and even your free time.
And any deviation from that written schedule, even a small one, even an improvement to your life, can be treated as a violation. Probation officers call this failure to comply with supervision conditions. In legal terms, it is a technical violation, meaning you did not break any law, you just broke a rule. But technical violations carry the same punishment as new crimes in most states. In Texas, for example, the probation department has a policy that 3 schedule changes without notification are an automatic revocation hearing. In Florida, a single unreported schedule change that causes you to miss a home visit can result in a warrant for your arrest.
Here is how this plays out in real life. There is a case from Harris County, Texas, where a man named Marcus was on probation for a non-violent drug offense. He was doing everything right. He had a job at a warehouse. He was passing every drug test. He was paying his fees on time. His probation required him to be home every night from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. for a curfew check. Marcus got a promotion at work. The promotion came with a shift change. He was now required to be at work at 5 a.m. instead of 7 a.m. That meant he had to leave home at 4:30 in the morning. Marcus thought this was good news. He told his probation officer during a routine check-in. He mentioned it verbally. The officer said okay and moved on. But Marcus did not submit the change in writing. He did not update his official schedule on file. 3 weeks later, a probation officer showed up for a random home visit at 1 in the morning.
Marcus was not there because he was asleep and his new schedule required him to go to bed early. The officer waited, called Marcus, and Marcus explained the promotion. But the officer did not care. The written file still said Marcus should be home. The verbal conversation never happened according to the official record. Marcus was arrested the next day for a technical violation. He spent 30 days in county jail before a judge reviewed his case. The judge ultimately released him, but Marcus lost his promotion, lost his job because he missed 30 days of work, and had his probation extended by an extra year, all because he did not put a schedule change in writing.
The fix for this is boring, but absolutely necessary. Every time your routine changes, no matter how small, you must notify your probation officer in writing and keep proof of that notification. Send an email, send a text message if your department allows texts. Mail a letter with certified return receipt. Get something that creates a paper trail with a timestamp. Do not rely on verbal conversations. Do not assume your officer remembers what you said. Do not assume that because the change improves your life, the system will forgive the paperwork error. The system does not forgive anything. Without that paper trail, when your officer says you never reported the change and you say you did, a judge will believe the officer every single time. Probation officers are considered officers of the court. You are considered a convicted person. Your word does not beat their word. So document everything. Keep copies of every email. Screenshot every text message.
Store them in a folder on your phone and a printed folder at home. If you ever end up in front of a judge, that paper trail is the only thing that will save you. The second innocent habit is posting on social media. This one shocks most people because we all share our lives online constantly. It feels completely normal to post a photo of your dinner, to check into a restaurant, to comment on a friend's vacation pictures. Social media is how people communicate in 2026. But probation conditions were written largely in the 1990s and early 2000s, and they have been updated to include language about social media without most people realizing it. Your probation conditions almost certainly include clauses about associating with known criminals, about frequenting establishments that serve alcohol, about being in places where illegal activity occurs, and about not posting threatening or harassing content online. The problem is that social media makes every single one of these conditions impossible to follow perfectly because you cannot control what other people post, you cannot control who likes your photos, and you cannot control how a probation officer interprets an innocent image.
Here's how social media gets you violated. You are on probation. You post a photo of yourself at a family barbecue. Standing next to you in the photo is your cousin. You do not even think about your cousin's criminal history because he is family, he is a good person, and his charge was from years ago. But your probation officer runs your cousin's name. Your cousin has a misdemeanor drug possession conviction from 7 years ago. Suddenly you are accused of associating with a known criminal. The probation condition says you cannot willingly associate with anyone who has a criminal record unless that person is an immediate family member. But some conditions do not even have that exception. Some conditions say no association with any felon or any person on probation regardless of relationship. Your cousin is a felon. You posted a photo with him. That is a violation. Even if you never see him again, even if the barbecue was a one-time thing, the photo is evidence.
Here is another social media trap. You post a video from a restaurant. In the background of the video, there is a bar area. Someone at the next table is holding a beer. You are not drinking. You are not even near the bar, but your probation condition might ban you from entering any establishment that serves alcohol as its primary business. The probation officer sees the video and argues that the restaurant has a bar, and you were in the bar area, so you violated. You try to explain that you were eating dinner, that you were 50 feet from the bar, that you did not order alcohol. The officer does not care. The judge looks at the video and sees a probationer in a building that serves alcohol. That is enough. There is a famous case out of Gwinnett County, Georgia, that probation officers love to cite during training. A man named David was on probation for a DUI. His conditions included a complete ban on alcohol and a ban on entering any bar, tavern, or package store. David did not drink for 2 full years. He passed every test. He attended every meeting. Then one night he was scrolling Facebook and saw a photo posted by a friend. The photo showed someone holding a bag of marijuana. David clicked the like button. That is it. He liked a photo. He did not comment. He did not share it. He did not even know the person holding the marijuana. He just liked his friend's photo. The probation officer saw the like during a routine social media check. The officer filed a violation report, arguing that by liking the photo, David was showing approval of illegal drug activity, which violated the condition requiring him to be law-abiding. The judge agreed. David's probation was revoked.
He served 60 days in jail, all because of a thumbs up button on Facebook. The solution here is harsh but clear. Delete all social media while you're on probation. Not deactivate. Delete. Remove your accounts entirely. If you absolutely cannot delete everything because you need social media for work or family communication, then make every account private. Remove all followers who are not blood relatives or employers, and never post any photo or video that shows where you are, who you are with, or what you are doing. Assume your probation officer has a copy of every post within 24 hours. Assume that a judge will see every like, every comment, and every check-in. Social media is not your friend during probation. It is surveillance equipment that you pay for and operate yourself. The only winning move is to not play.
The third innocent habit is driving someone else's car. You are not doing anything wrong. You are being helpful. Your friend needs a ride to work because your car broke down. Your girlfriend needs you to pick up groceries because she is sick. Your brother asks you to borrow his car for the afternoon because yours is in the shop for repairs. These are normal, everyday favors, but here's the problem. Probation almost always includes a condition allowing police officers or your probation officer to search any vehicle that you operate, any vehicle that you are inside, and often any vehicle that is registered to your address. When you drive someone else's car, you give the government legal permission to search that car. The owner never agreed to this. The owner might have no criminal record at all. But because you are behind the wheel, your probation conditions transfer to that vehicle. And that is where innocent people get destroyed.
Here is the nightmare scenario. You borrow your neighbor's car to go to the grocery store. Your neighbor is a good person, but your neighbor smokes marijuana occasionally. In the ashtray of the car, hidden under some receipts, is a half-smoked joint from 3 weeks ago. Your neighbor forgot it was there. You did not know it was there. Nobody intended for you to be in possession of marijuana. But a police officer pulls you over because your tail light is broken. The officer runs your name. The officer sees you are on probation. The officer asks if he can search the car. You say no because it is not your car. But the officer does not need your permission. Your probation conditions already give the officer permission to search any car you drive. The officer searches, finds the joint, and arrests you for possession. You explain that the joint is not yours. The officer does not believe you. The lab later confirms that your fingerprints are not on the joint.
The owner comes to court and admits the joint is his. You might beat the criminal charge of possession because the prosecution cannot prove you knew the joint was there. But probation is different. Probation uses a lower standard of evidence. Criminal court requires proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Probation revocation hearings only require a preponderance of evidence, which means more likely than not. The judge looks at the facts. You were driving a car, marijuana was in that car, you were on probation. That is enough for a preponderance of evidence. Your probation is violated, you go back to jail. The criminal charge might be dismissed later, but that does not matter. The violation already happened.
There is a real case from Clark County, Nevada that made national news a few years ago. A woman named Teresa was on probation for a minor theft charge. She borrowed her mother's car to take her children to school. Her mother, who was 72 years old, had a legal prescription for medical marijuana. The mother left a bottle of her marijuana gummies in the center console. Teresa did not know the gummies were there. A police officer stopped Teresa for rolling through a stop sign. The officer searched the car under Teresa's probation conditions. The officer found the gummies. Teresa was arrested. The criminal charge was eventually dropped because the gummies were prescribed to her mother, and Teresa had no knowledge. But her probation officer filed a violation anyway. The judge ruled against Teresa. The judge said that even if Teresa did not know the gummies were there, she was responsible for any contraband in any car she drove. Teresa spent 45 days in jail.
Her children were placed with their grandmother. She lost her job, all because she borrowed her mother's car to take her kids to school. The rule here is simple and absolute. Never drive any car that you do not personally own. Never get into a car as a passenger if the driver might have anything illegal in the vehicle. Never borrow a car for any reason, no matter how urgent, no matter how much you trust the owner. If you absolutely must drive someone else's car, you need to physically inspect every inch of that vehicle before you turn the key. Check the glove box, check under both front seats and both back seats. Check the trunk, check the door pockets, check the center console, check the ashtray, check under the floor mats, check between the seats and in the seat back pockets. You are looking for anything that could be considered illegal. Drugs, drug paraphernalia, open alcohol containers, stolen items, weapons, or even prescription pills that are not in their original bottle. If you find anything, you do not drive that car. You walk away, you call an Uber, you tell your friend they need to clean their car before you will help them. It sounds extreme. It sounds paranoid. But being paranoid keeps you free. Being trusting sends you back to jail. The fourth innocent habit is missing curfew by just a few minutes.
Probation curfews are not suggestions. They are not guidelines. They are not flexible windows. If your probation papers say you must be home by 9 p.m., 9 p.m. means 8:59 and 30 seconds. It does not mean 9:01. It does not mean 9:05. It does not mean you can call your officer and explain that you are stuck in traffic. The curfew is a hard line. Crossing it even once is a violation. Crossing it by 1 minute is the same as crossing it by 1 hour in the eyes of most judges. And probation officers are trained to treat every curfew violation as a potential revocation. But normal life happens, traffic jams happen, your boss asks you to stay late to finish a project, your child gets sick, and you have to stop at the pharmacy. Your watch is slow. You simply lose track of time because you are having a conversation with a friend. These are all reasonable explanations. None of them will save you. The system does not care about reasonable explanations. The system cares about compliance. If the rule says 9 p.m., you need to be inside your home at 9 p.m., not in your driveway, not walking up the sidewalk, not pulling into the parking lot. Inside your home with the door closed.
Here is how this goes wrong in real life. In Maricopa County, Arizona, the probation department has an automated system for curfew checks. Some people on probation wear GPS ankle monitors. Others receive automated phone calls or text messages at random times. The system requires you to respond within 5 minutes of the alert. If you do not respond, that is a curfew violation. 1 minute late is a violation. 3 violations of any length trigger an automatic revocation hearing. The probation officer does not have a choice. The computer flags your file. You get a notice to appear in court. The judge then decides whether to send you back to jail. There is a heartbreaking case from Franklin County, Ohio. A single mother named Jennifer was on probation for a non-violent offense. She was working 2 jobs to pay her probation fees and support her 2 young children. Her curfew was 10 p.m. One night her bus was delayed by construction. The bus arrived at her stop at 10:02 p.m. She walked into her apartment at 10:06 p.m. Her probation officer had done a random home visit at 10:01 p.m. Jennifer was not there. The officer waited 5 minutes and left. The next morning, Jennifer received a notice of violation. She explained the bus delay. She showed her bus pass with the timestamp. The probation officer did not care. The judge did not care. The judge said that probation conditions require her to plan for delays. The judge said she should have taken an earlier bus. The judge revoked her probation and sentenced her to 90 days in jail. Jennifer's children went into foster care during those 90 days.
Her landlord evicted her for non-payment of rent. She lost both of her jobs. All of this happened because a bus was 2 minutes late. The solution is brutal but necessary. If your curfew is 9 p.m., you need to act like your curfew is 8:15 p.m. You need to be home by 8:30 p.m. at the absolute latest. Every minute after 8:30 should feel like you are already late. This means you need to leave work early. You need to decline invitations to anything that happens after 6 p.m. You need to build in a massive buffer for traffic, for emergencies, for anything that could possibly go wrong. It is not fair. Normal people do not need to be home 2 hours before curfew. But you are not a normal person right now. You are a person on probation, and the difference between freedom and jail is often just a few minutes. Build the buffer. Treat curfew like it is earlier than it actually is. Your freedom depends on it.
The fifth innocent habit is paying your probation fees late. This one sounds the least serious. It is just money, right? The court can wait a few days. You have every intention of paying. You are short this month because your rent went up, or your child got sick, or your car needed repairs. You will pay next week when you get your paycheck. This is completely reasonable. But the court does not see it as reasonable. The court sees it as a violation of the condition that requires you to obey all court orders. Paying your fees is a court order. Every late payment is a violation. And this is one of the most common reasons people get sent back to jail in America today.
Let me give you a statistic that should terrify you. In Mississippi, a 2019 study by the state judiciary found that over 60% of all probation revocations were for non-payment of fees. Not for new crimes, not for failing drug tests, not for associating with criminals. 60% was simply for not having enough money to pay the court on time. People were sent back to jail because they were poor. The Supreme Court of the United States has ruled that you cannot be jailed for being unable to pay. That is unconstitutional. But here is the trick that courts use to get around that ruling. The judge asks whether you were willfully failing to pay. If you missed a payment but you bought a pizza last week, The judge decides that you chose pizza over your fees. That is willful. Even if the pizza was $5 and your fees were $300, the judge sees a choice.
Even if you bought groceries for your children, the judge might say you could have bought cheaper groceries. The standard is so unfair that almost anyone who misses a payment can be found willful if the judge wants to find it.
Here is a real example from my research. In Shelby County, Tennessee, a man named Robert was on probation for a property crime. His monthly probation fees were $250. Robert worked at a fast food restaurant making minimum wage. After taxes, he took home about $1,600 per month. His rent was $800. His utilities were $200. His bus pass was $80. He had to feed himself and his teenage son. There was nothing left for the $250 fee. Robert missed 3 payments. He was brought before the judge. Robert explained his budget. He showed receipts for rent and utilities and groceries. The judge asked Robert if he had bought any fast food that month. Robert said yes. He bought a $5 burger once because he was hungry after work. The judge said that $5 should have gone to the court. The judge found Robert willfully non-compliant and revoked his probation.
Robert spent 60 days in jail. He lost his job. His son had to move in with grandparent, all because of a $5 burger.
The solution here is painful but clear. You must pay your probation fees before you pay for anything else. Not before rent, not before food, not before medicine, before everything. If you have $100 and your fee is $100, you pay the fee and then you figure out rent and food somehow. This sounds insane because it is insane. But the alternative is jail. If you truly cannot pay, if you have literally no money after paying for absolute necessities, you need to document everything. Keep every receipt. Keep a written budget. Keep bank statements showing every dollar in and out. Then you go to court before you miss a payment. You do not wait until you are late. You file a motion asking the judge to waive or reduce your fees. Many courts have sliding scales based on income. Many courts allow community service instead of fees. Many courts will reduce fees if you ask, but they will never tell you this.
You have to ask in writing on day 1 of your probation. If you wait until you are already late, the judge will be much less likely to help you. Ask early, ask often, and keep asking until you get an answer in writing.
These 5 innocent habits destroy lives every single day in the United States. Changing your schedule without notifying your probation officer in writing. Posting on social media or liking photos online. Driving someone else's car without inspecting it first. Missing curfew by just a few minutes. Paying your fees late or not at all. None of these feel like crimes because none of them are crimes. In the normal world, these are just everyday life. But the probation system is not the normal world. Probation is a legal punishment that requires perfect compliance. The system does not measure your intentions. It does not measure your improvement. It does not measure whether you are a good person trying your best. The system measures only one thing. Did you follow every single rule exactly as written? If the answer is no, even once, even for a good reason, you can go back to jail. Your best defense is to assume you are being watched at all times.
Assume your probation officer wants to violate you because many of them are overworked and see violations as proof that they are doing their job. Assume that a judge will believe the officer over you because that is what happens in almost every case. Then act accordingly. Keep a paper trail of every conversation, every email, every text message. Stay boring. Stay home. Stay offline. Drive only your own car after inspecting it. Be home hours before curfew. Pay your fees before you pay for anything else. And if you can afford an attorney or if you qualify for a public defender, do not walk into court alone. Because the 6th innocent habit, the one you do not even know exists yet, might be the one that locks you up again. Stay safe, stay free, and read every page of your probation conditions like your life depends on it because it does.